there's a sound that can instantly rip you out of a dream, a conversation, or a moment of peace without asking permission. It doesn't matter how tired you are, how focused you feel, or how confident you are that you'll ignore it this time. The second it starts, your brain snaps to attention like something important just went very wrong. Your body reacts before your thoughts catch up, and suddenly, doing anything else feels illegal. I'm Professor Everything, and today we'll be answering the question, what makes alarms so hard to ignore? Right here on Explaining Everything. One major reason alarms are so effective is that they sound fundamentally wrong to the human brain. Pleasant sounds are smooth, predictable, and easy to relax around. Alarms deliberately reject all of that. They use harsh, piercing frequencies that sit right in the range our ears are most sensitive to, which is incredibly rude when you think about it. These tones feel sharp, metallic, and uncomfortable, like the sound itself is poking your brain and asking for attention repeatedly. Even at lower volumes, they feel loud because your brain treats them as important. On top of that, alarms avoid anything resembling musical satisfaction. There's no melody to enjoy, no rhythm to nod along to, and absolutely no emotional payoff. The sound jumps between tones, cuts off too quickly, or loops in a way that feels unfinished. Your brain hates unfinished patterns. It keeps listening, waiting for the sound to resolve into something normal, and it never does. That unresolved tension creates irritation, and irritation is very effective at keeping you alert. In a strange way, alarms weaponize annoyance. They don't overpower your brain with volume alone. They exhaust it with discomfort until paying attention feels like the only reasonable option. Another reason alarms are impossible to ignore is how abruptly they arrive. The brain is incredibly good at ignoring steady, predictable noise. A fan can run all night, and eventually you forget it exists. An alarm, however, appears out of nowhere at full force. There is no gentle fade-in or polite warning. One moment, everything is calm, and the next moment, your nervous system believes something urgent has happened. Sudden changes matter far more to the brain than gradual ones. That instant shift triggers alertness before logic has time to catch up. Your body reacts first, and your thoughts scramble to explain why afterward. Repetition is where alarms truly stop being reasonable and start being evil geniuses. If the sound only happened once, your brain might assess it and move on. Instead, alarms repeat the same irritating noise over and over with no variation. This repetition creates a sense of unfinished business. The brain expects patterns to end, and alarms refuse to provide that ending. Each repeat feels like a reminder that something is unresolved. This keeps your attention stuck in a loop. The sound isn't loud enough to physically hurt, but it is psychologically exhausting. Eventually, stopping the alarm feels less like a choice and more like the only way to restore order to reality. Alarms also work because they hijack your sense of urgency in a way that feels almost unfair. The human brain is wired to treat certain sounds as signals that something requires immediate action. Alarms are designed to push that exact button. Even when you consciously know there's no real danger, your body doesn't fully believe you. Your heart rate ticks up slightly, your muscles tense, and your focus narrows as if the sound itself is a command rather than a suggestion. It creates the feeling that ignoring the alarm would be a mistake, even if you can't explain why. What makes this even worse is that alarms don't give you a clear sense of consequence, only pressure. They don't explain what will happen if you ignore them, but your brain fills in the gap with discomfort. Silence becomes the reward, and action becomes the only path to get there. Until the sound stops, everything else feels secondary. Thoughts get interrupted, patience disappears, and doing nothing starts to feel wrong. The alarm doesn't need to threaten you. It simply convinces your brain that peace will not return until you make it stop, and that illusion of urgency is more than enough to force your attention. When you put all of this together, alarms are less like sounds and more like psychological tools. They are irritating by design, sudden by strategy, repetitive by intent, and urgent by instinct. They exploit how the brain reacts to surprise, unresolved patterns, and perceived importance. That's why ignoring an alarm feels almost impossible, even when you're tired, annoyed, or fully aware of what's happening. It isn't a failure of self-control. It's biology responding exactly as planned. So the next time an alarm shatters your peace, remember this: it's not being rude. It's just doing its job extremely well. And unfortunately, your brain is exactly the kind of brain it was built for. If you enjoyed this video, or if you are now double-checking your alarm for tomorrow morning, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for tuning in, and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about, here on Explaining Everything.